We can start.
Everyone. So last week we discussed about the normal Paticca Samuppada, how a person perceives the external objects and how, based on the inputs that are taken from the external environment using the internal organs, how a person would develop avidya and in the end subjected to suffering with raga, dvesha, moha. So someone has said there's no sound. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear. Let me try it again. Can everyone?
Seems like it's a problem at that end. So today our topic is Arya Paticca Samuppada and the Nibbana. So initially, let's recap what we have understood so far. So if I turn on the whiteboard, here when something is seen, let's take the eye and an object. So here when something is seen by the eye, first what happens, a mental copy is created. Mental copy of that object is created. So we call that Paticca Samuppada, Abhaya Paticca Samuppada. So in that, the eye and the object, because of the light rays coming from the object, it falls on the retina, and then initially a chakku vinyana is formed. And then on the chakku vinyana, then comes nama. Then the sixth organ is the mind. Then touch, and it is felt, Vedana, or the feeling. There's no tanha or upadana. After that, bhava, or the process of seeing, and jati, a seeing jati, or a person who is seeing, or a mind that can see, is emanated. That is the jati. So there's no raga, dvesha, moha up to this moment, and even an arihat would have the process up until this moment, until this level. So it is the same for chakku vinyana, sota vinyana, gana vinyana, jivha vinyana, kaya vinyana, and mano vinyana. So that those are the 6 inputs. Those are the 6 minds that are created because of the 6 inputs that are there in the environment, that are taken from the internal organs, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. So based on the inputs or data that are taken with this Paticca Samuppada at the end is then subjected to the influence of avidya. That happens later after this one. So when that happens, then the Vedana or the feeling here is changed. We call that Sampasaja Vedana. So initially the Vedana is just Vedana, or the normal way of perceiving. So there's a suffering, element of suffering, component of suffering, that is there in that Vedana as well. But when it comes to Sampasaja Vedana, it is a Vedana that is created with avidya, or a suffering that is created with avidya. So this Vedana can be of three types. It can be a blissful Vedana or a suffering Vedana. It can be suffering in suffering nature, and it can be neutral in nature. So it has three parts. So after this jati, based on the inputs that are taken here, this image, mental image. So we have the mental image in our mind that has been taken in with the external organs. So based on that, so we have this image, and we have the avidya. So avidya is also, so we are learning the cause and effect law for Paticca Samuppada. So when it comes to Paticca Samuppada, it is always, it talks about causes and effects. It says that nothing emanates without a reason or a cause. So we have to know the cause for avidya at this point. So we knew that the reason for Chakku Vijnana, it is the collision of eye and the image, and we know the reason for Nama, that is the reason, the Chakku Vijnana is the reason, and what is the reason for sixth organ or emanation of Mana, that is Nama. So likewise, there's a sequence or a pattern that follows here. So when it comes to avidya, here it is we discussed in the last week's discussion that avidya is actually there's this basic form of avidya where the worldly beings has this delusional idea that there is blissfulness or happiness in the external items, in the materialistic world. That's why as soon as a person is born or a baby is born, that baby tends to look at the external environment, tends to use his or her ears to take in data from the external environment. Likewise, it uses all the 5 or 6 organs towards it uses them to grab inputs, data from the external environment, so that it can grasp or hold on to these blissful sensations. But in reality, there's this idea is a delusional idea. So with that basic delusional mindset, where the person thinks that there's blissful components in the external world. So that is the basic idea, and it is influenced by the external factors. External factors influences this idea. So when the external factors influences this idea, this is like a piece of clay. So it changes its shape because of that external idea. It changes the original shape of avidya, the basic shape of avidya. So let's say this person likes motor vehicles, or bicycles. So the person likes motor bicycles. So when the person likes motor bicycles, so his basic avidya was there. So because of the external factors, because of maybe TV advertisements, because of the influence of peers, because of the influence of neighbors or brothers or sisters or whatever the factors are, this basic shape of avidya changes into the shape of a bicycle. So this is analogy. So this piece of clay is now changed into a shape of a bicycle. So now when the bicycle is seen here at the mind, when it is taken in with the eye, this is called avidya anusaya. Anusaya is something like it is not yet created, but as soon as the other causes align, the anusaya will create the avidya. It is something like a matchbox and a match. So this combination has the potential to create a fire. So it's something like that. So this combination, avidya anusaya, and this image or the mental image that is coming from the external organs has the potential to create this vijnana or the avidya vijnana. So that the Paticca Samuppada chakra would continue. So here the sankhara or the process or the action. This is what through this is this vijnana is created. So here avidya anusaya is like fire. So fire is not yet created, but when everything comes in place, when you stick or when you use this matchstick on the matchbox, the fire would be created. Thus, the Paticca Samuppada would start. So this is changed into the shape of this bicycle because of the external factors. The avidya is changed. So if this is there, if this avidya anusaya is there, when this object is seen and when this jati is created, as soon as it is created, then the other Paticca Samuppada would start, the avidya Paticca Samuppada, avidya pacca sankhara, and this would start. So even up to this first Paticca Samuppada would be there even in a Arihat. So he also would see the bicycle. He also would know that the bicycle is something like this, and this is the use of a bicycle. He would know that this is this person's bicycle, and this is maybe it was his bicycle before he becoming a priest or a monk. So he would know that this is my bicycle before, and he would know everything. All the data would come, but based on the data, this avidya sankhara Paticca Samuppada would not occur. So you have to know that this, because this is now, this is something like sugar coated with avidya. The normal image is here, but it is changed now. So sankhara is also from avidya. So it's avidya sankhara. So the vijnana is also avidya vijnana. Now it is changing. So this is avidya nama rupa, and then avidya salayatana, or the organ system is changed so that you can experience blissful sensation through these 6 organs. Salayatana, then passa, now a different touch is felt and a different vedana is felt, that is called avidya vedana. And then as this has a value, because avidya is again nitya sukha atta subha. So because it can be again, this is adivachana, or we can call it similar names or synonyms. So avidya can be also stated as Nicca Sukha Subha. So it's the same thing. So when it is Nicca Sukha Subha, you know that it has value. So again, another name is value. So then when there's value or when it is valuable, one would attach. That is a effect because of causes. So the attachment would occur, then tanha, then upadana. So sticking would happen, and then bhava. Now a raga bhava or a raga process of or a person or a mind that likes these bikes or raga bhava would occur, and a raga jati would occur, and this jati would end up in Jaramarana. So at this point, he was just seeing, but here the jati is raga jati or a seeking. Now he seeks that. So you know that there's a suffering element or a vexation here. This is a vexatious jati that is being created because of avidya, and this jati is called avidya jati. So this is the basic idea of what we have discussed. So it is the response which is created here at jati is changed based on the view of avidya or the version of avidya. So if a person get external factors that contradicts or that says that bicycles are not good, then the avidya would get into a different form where he does not like bicycles, and when this bicycle is seen, avidya would create a avidya vijnana, and that vijnana would be a dvesha vijnana, not a raga vijnana, or it would be a conflicting mindset that is created, and the salayatana would be accordingly created, and the vedana would be not blissful. It would be suffering. It would be a suffering vedana. It would be something you don't like, and therefore tanha would not occur. Instead, something called paticca would occur. Paticca means something like a conflicting mindset or a or a or a or a malicious mindset or a angry or something like negative mindset of Vidoka. So that mindset or the paticca would then the upadana would not be there. Then it would be adimokha. Adimokha means that would intensify. So paticca would intensify, and that is called adimokha, and then again bhava and jati, and this and here then the resulting jati would be dvesa jati, and dvesa jati is also vexatious. The thing is, raga jati is vexatious because you have not owned it yet. Now the bicycle is beautiful and you like it, you want to own it because it was someone else's bicycle, and you see the bicycle and you like the bike, you like to purchase it, but yet you have not purchased it. Because of that, there's this vexation, and you are trying to purchase an item which is of anicca, dukkha, and anatta nature. So because of that, you cannot have any control over that object, and that object will eventually subjected to jara marana, or at the end it would be destroyed, or that is the nature of the object. And this object, since it is subjected to these two realities, it is of suffering nature. But as you like a suffering object, you would be subjected to fear, because you are in fear that this bicycle would be stolen, it would have something would happen to it, and because that's why they put insurance and everything to hide up or cover up the fear. So likewise, this jati which is created because of avidya, has a vexatious part in it. So because of that, raga jati is also vexatious. But since the idea is there that the object that you are seeing, or the mental image that you are seeing, is blissful, you like chasing after it. You like to go after it because it is perceived as blissful. So when it comes to dvesha jati itself is the jati that is created, or the mindset that is created when creating jati is vexatious. Because if you have created, you know that you have in your lifetime, there are instances you got angry, you got you got this conflicting kind of a mind. So at that point the experience is not nice. You get your body temperature, blood pressure is rising up, you feel the pulse is rising up, you feel that your ears are burning, or your face is getting red, and you are shaking, and you are this is the external effects of dvesa jati. So dvesa jati itself is vexatious, or itself is suffering. So initially the jati which is created at the first Paticca Samuppada was not like that. It was just a bicycle. It was just you seeing a bicycle. You got the information, you processed it, and now you can decide what to do. But decision is taken with avidya. If you have this avidya, anusaya, and everything, and this is why it is called anicca. You cannot control according to your expectation. If this is there, then this would create it. The end result would be there, creating anyway. So this is what you need to understand. So regardless of whether it is a blissful sensation, a neutral sensation, or a suffering sensation initially here, so it can be a blissful one that is coming. It can be a neutral one, or it can be a blissful one, a suffering one, or a neutral one. But based on the viewpoint of you, because according to avidya, this would be changed. The salayatan would be created, and you would perceive a totally different thing, regardless of what you are feeling initially. So then you would be chasing after, if it is raga jati, you would be chasing after something that is created or that is made up in your mind. So that is why it is very important. Through this Paticca Samuppada, you can understand the reality of the word anicca, dukkha, and anatta nature. So the basic necessity here is to understand the anicca, dukkha, and anatta nature. So the Buddha Dhamma is always about anicca, dukkha, and anatta nature, and the solution for it. This is the reality of the world. So this reality is not something you would like. The reality is bitter and you don't like it. So this has a solution as well, and that is Nibbana. So this is everything about Buddha Dhamma in a nutshell. So this is what we are trying to achieve. So now you need to understand now the first Paticca Samuppada here, Abhaya Paticca Samuppada. So it cannot be changed until you pass away after attaining Nibbana. Up until that point, this Paticca Samuppada would be created. If you are dealing with the world, if you are operating in this world, then this Paticca would be there. But an Arihat would eliminate the avidya Paticca. So avidya Paticca would be eliminated. So to do that, we need the Arya Paticca. So Arya Paticca is the solution which would be used to get rid of this avidya Paticca. So it is also because of causes and effects. So we have to know that everything has a basis and nothing comes out of the blue without any reason. So here, what is the reason for Arya Paticca? So Arya Paticca starts with not with avidya. Likewise, it is also starting with Abhaya Paticca, and then so how the Abhaya Paticca is starting, we can understand that initially it comes from ear. So the Sota Vijnana is created. So for Sota Vijnana to created, there's this ear, and you are hearing sound. So this sound, when this two this process occurs, this mental mano Vijnana or a Sota Vijnana is created, and based on that Sota Vijnana, then again the normal Abhaya Paticca would be created. Passa, Vedana, then Bhava and Jati. Now you are a listening Jati. Now a listening mindset or a Jati is created. So when this listening Jati is created, when this person has, the 4 Sotapatti Anga, or the 4 basic needs that should be there for a person to become Sotapanna. That is, so Kalyana Mitta Sampattiya. So Kalyana Mitta Sampattiya means you should meet a Kalyana Mitta or a noble friend. Kalyana Mitta Sampattiya. Then Saddhamma Shravana. Saddhamma Shravana means you have to listen to Arya Dhamma. Now that is happening here, listening. Then you should have this the Yoniso Manasikara, or the active listening, and the listening part where you have this, you reason out with wisdom. So there should be wisdom, and you should reason out with wisdom, and then Dhamma Patipada, and you should align with the Dhamma at that level. So Dhamma Patipada is something like that. So when these 4 aligns, what would happen? Then avidya, instead of avidya, kusala mula would start. So this is the first time the kusala mula would be starting in one's life, and that would be life changing. And this input you have not received in your entire sansara. This would be the first time you would be receiving this inputs. Because of that, the kusala mula would be created, and kusala mula cannot last alone. It would create a mind, and creation is sankara, and the result would be a kusala mula vijnana. And this is a new Paticca Samuppada that would be creating. So why there's 2? So we call this avidya, and we call this kusala mula. The reason is avidya, we named avidya as Nicca Sukha Atta Subha. So we know that there are 4 parts, and that is Nicca Sukha Subha. And what we are listening is totally opposite of it, which is Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta, Asubha. So we know that it is the totally opposite of avidya. So because of that, avidya is not created. Because of this listening, what is created is actually kusala mula. So it is a different story after that. So here now kusala mula. Then after kusala mula, there are sankhara. I would, if I write the full Paticca Samuppada, then there's vijnana. Then there's again nama rupa, salayatana, asa, vedana, pasado, adimokko, bhava and jati. And if you remember the last time we discussed about avidya, it's etched up in jati as well. But after jati, there's soka parideva dukkha domanasa upayasa sambhavanti. That means, so if I write the other jati, the avidya jati here, so the result is soka, that means sorrow, lamentation, physical and mental pain, physical pain and mental suffering, and despair. So this would be the result. But here, after jati, there would be jara marana. So after jara marana, this would occur. So because of jara marana, soka parideva dukkha domanasa upayasa would be created. So here also there would be jara marana, but there would not be this suffering part would not be created. Instead, eva mete sanam dhammanam samudaya hoti. That would be the end. You would see the Dhamma. So you would see the Dhamma, and there would not be this suffering part would not be created when the starting point is kusala moolam. Why is that? You have to get this important point here, because you are seeing anicca, dukkha, anatta, and asubha. So if you are seeing anicca, dukkha, anatta, and asubha, that means you are seeing there's no value. So the value given to this world is reduced to zero. So based on the level of understanding, that it would be reduced initially. So when something has no value and you get separated from it at jara marana, that person would not feel sorrow of losing that item. But the difference is avidya is nicca sukha subha. And that gives an idea of value. You feel that it is valuable. The jati which is created, the feeling which is created, and everything about this Paticca Samuppada that is created is valuable. But at the end, you get separated from something valuable, and you get separated from an important or an important item in your life. So that creates suffering. That because when you get separated from a blissful sensation or important part in your life, that is suffering. But this Paticca Samuppada, the second one, the kusala mula one, starts with no value. And the sankhara, vijnana, everything has this effect. So the jati created has it has this idea that there's no value, there's no importance, or this life, this the external item, whichever may be that it can be image, sound, smell, taste, touch, or a thought. It is of Anicca, Dukkha, and Anatta nature. So because of that, the eventual fate of that jati would be Jara Marana. So it would meet Jara Marana anyway, but at that point, since the person knows the reality, there would not be any suffering part attached to this Paticca Samuppada. So this is the difference. So now let's try to sort this Paticca Samuppada with let's try to understand this Paticca Samuppada in detail. So it is like this. So at the end, Jara Marana. So this Paticca Samuppada here, the Kusala Mula Paticca Samuppada, we know that it is starting with Anicca, because you know that this is now when you have understood about the normal Paticca Samuppada, that itself, if you have understood it with wisdom, it itself starts the Kusala Mula, because you have seen the Anicca nature. You have seen that this world cannot be controlled according to expectation, and it is a cause and effect thing. It is based on the mind comes to life because of causes, and you have no influence. A person named you have no influence in that, and everything that is created in your mind or in the external world, all the things are based on causes creating effects. So you would see that Anicca in when you understand the Paticca Samuppada. So you would itself see the Dukkha as well, because when you see avidya paccaya sankhara cycle, you know that parting with that, separation of from the jati, the important one, jati, or the valuable jati, valuable vedana, valuable passa, that would happen as soon as you experience it. So it would create sorrow, lamentation, physical pain, mental suffering, and despair. So it is suffering. You don't like to get separated from a valuable experience or a vedana or a valuable jati. So what you would do is you would chase after it. You would go after it. You would try to cling on to it, and the amount of effort that you would put to save it for yourself, to protect it, to have it only to yourself, to eliminate all the challenges you are getting. So that would be very tiresome, and that would be a suffering element as well. So you would have these two sufferings, which is the suffering of dukkha, or the vexation. Then there would be sankhara dukkha, or the suffering element, part of the suffering that is there because of putting effort, and in the end, eventually, because everything ends up in jara marana, you would experience the viparinama dukkha, where you get separated from what you like, and that is also dukkha. So these three dukkha would be there, and you would see the dukkha characteristic of dukkha as well. So when you see all that, you would know that this external item does not have this blissful element in it, but you are creating it in your mind. As we had discussed initially in the Paticca, the second Paticca is a magician playing tricks with our mind. So the mind itself creates the blissful sensation in the mind and tells us that it came from the external object, and that is not something very wise to think. Because of that, you would know Anatta, the pointless nature. There's no point in attaching to, going after this kind of a world, going after this kind of material things, because materialistic things, because in the end it's the mind that played tricks with us, not the external item. We know that the external item is not that blissful as we perceive. So you would know the Anatta as well. So you would know Asubha. So Subha means you take it as pleasurable or valuable. There's this idea in the word Subha. You would know that if something is Anicca, Dukkha, and Anatta, there's no Subha or positive. You would perceive it as positive. So there's nothing positive about it. In fact, you would identify that it is negative, that these external items are actually should not be perceived as positive. If it is perceived as positive, then it would not align with these three, Anicca, Dukkha, and Anatta. So it would be Asubha, so negative. So when the external item, whichever the external item, the image, sound, smell, taste, touch, or the thought that is coming from the external world, when you are in good mind, or when you are mindful, or when you have the sati, the samma sati, at that point, kusala mula pacchaya sankhara would start. So the vijnana that would be creating would be a kusala mula vijnana, and that vijnana is a mindset which sees the reality of the world. So with this mindset, so you are seeing the reality of the world, and the salayatana would be created here as well. Why? Because let's say someone is listening to this Dhamma, and he or she is very, very happy about it. He very positive about it, and he or she likes to listen to more and more Dhamma. And when there's a Dhamma talk, everything else becomes irrelevant for that person, because that person has created salayatana. Because let's say a person who does not like Dhamma, who is let's say a drug addict, or a person who does not care about Dhamma, is there in front of us listening to Dhamma, and a person who likes Dhamma is also listening to Dhamma. So these two people are perceiving Dhamma in two different ways. One does not get the salayatana for Dhamma. Instead, he would get salayatana for something else, maybe some worldly thing. So since the inputs that are coming from the sermon is not aligning with that, he would not like it. He would, in fact, he would want to get away or leave the place, and he would be listening to Dhamma with no joy in his mind. But the other person is enjoying it, is happy, because through a process of nama rupa, the salayatana, or the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. So if I would remind you again that this Paticca is actually happening in the mind. So we are talking something in the mind, even though we talk about eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind, we are talking about the mental aspect of it, because from this point, it is mental, because you have taken we know that after the Abhaya Paticca Samuppada, when the input is taken in with the eyes or ears or nose or tongue or body or mind, everything becomes a mental. It happens in the mental or the metaphysical realm. So here, this ears, eyes, nose, tongue, body, and mind, we are referring to something in the mind, but true that you can see it in the external environment as well, because the mind and body are stick together. It's like both of them are glued together. It's something like this. You have this magnetic person, or this is a magnet in the shape of a person, and you keep a white paper above it. So now it is on the magnet, and you put iron powder, and you see shape of a man on the canvas, or on the paper. So if this is a movable magnet, if the person, if you change the shape of this magnet, the you would see the corresponding change, or you would see the Iron Man, or the man made of iron, or the man made of iron powder, also changing based on the movements happening in the real magnet. So likewise, when these changes, this is the base or the foundation. When the foundation changes, everything changes. So the jati, when the mind, the mental aspect of the jati is changed, so you can see it in the physical world as well. So let's say a dvesha jati is, so here, as the Paticca is not dvesha because it's kusala mula, you would not see this. But let's say it started with avidya Paticca, and a jati was created, and that jati was dvesha. So since the dvesha jati was created in the mind, you can see it in that person's face. He has got angry. His face is red. His ears are red. His blood pressure is rising, and he's shaking. And you can see everything, but it actually started with the mind. So it is something happening in the mind. So this halayatana, it became initially it was the organ system: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. This organ system perceives Dhamma just like anything else. It was perceived as sound waves. Sound. You are listening to sound just like birds singing, nothing different. But when salayatana are created, because you are with wisdom, you have understood the reality, and that is it starts kusala mula pacchaya sankhara pacchaya vijnana, and that mindset creates salayatana through a process of nama rupa, or your mind, on your mind is your six organs are changed in such a way that it becomes negative for Dhamma. So Dhamma is just listening to words, but because of it is zero, and you are listening. You have now created a system that is looking for Dhamma. Because of that, you perceive Dhamma as blissful, and that is very good, because you are listening to a reality and you are liking the reality. So because of that, this pathway becomes a blissful pathway. That's why it is called the Nibbana pathway. From the start to the end, it increases the blissfulness. It day by day, it increases the blissfulness. At the end, you attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. It's not like the Nibbana is here and you are here and you go to here and only you become blissful. It's not like that. It increases throughout the course. It increases even gradually until you attain Nibbana. And at the Nibbana, the maximum level of blissfulness would be felt. So the name felt or feel is for something that is in the external world. But here, though we use the word feel, it is about not feeling. It is about not feeling from an external or environment. That means you're not taking any images, sounds, smells, taste, or touch, or thought, because you understand, this is understanding, or this is a wisdom. So we can say you are feeling the wisdom, and that is blissful, because you in this wisdom, what you understand is there's no blissfulness in any of these things, and that would be, and that would create that would reduce the suffering, and that reduction of suffering, it would be perceived as blissful when it comes to Dhamma. So back to the Paticca Samuppada. So the Salayatana would be created, and the Passa and the Vedana would be a blissful Vedana, because you are experiencing Dhamma, the blissfulness of Dhamma, and that would create pasado, not tanha. Tanha would not be created, because tanha is something created with avidya, or value. Value creates tanha, and the importance creates tanha. Nitya sukha subha creates tanha. But we are now focusing on anicca, dukkha, anatta, and asubha. So it's the opposite of avidya, and in that it says there's nothing to latch on to in this world, because there's no point, there's no blissfulness, there's no value. So that does not create atanha. Instead, it creates pasado. You become happy, or a delighted mind is created, and that delighted mind would be enhanced here. So enhanced here. So after that, the process of seeing Dhamma, or the state of being, is created. And a Dhamma seeing jati is created. Since he has seen the Jara Marana nature through the Dhamma, it would not cause a suffering part, or the sorrow, lamentation, physical and mental pain, and despair. It would not be created. Instead, he would see the Dhamma. So this is the Arya Paticca Samuppada that explains the salvation from this samsaric journey. So it is something like this. Now, if I summarize the two, so when someone is creating causes for a fire, so this is a fire, and what do we need causes for fire? Firewood. Then we need oxygen, and then we need the correct temperature. So if everything is supplied here, this flame, we would never be able to extinguish this flame. Because all the causes are aligning, the effect would be there. Even if the samsara ends, this fire would not end. Because if you keep on supplying the needs or the requirements for this fire to be there, that would create an eternal flame. This flame would not go away. The only way to get rid of this flame is by removing the causes. Either you have to remove the firewood or oxygen, or you have to remove the temperature. So that would eliminate the fire. And sansaric fire or the sansaric journey is just like that. So this fire is created, the sansaric fire. And the sansaric fire, we do not know how to extinguish this fire. And throughout the sansara, our main goal or our aim was to actually get rid of this sansaric fire. But we never, we could not, because we did not have the capacity of a Supreme Buddha. And when only a Supreme Buddha comes to life, or at the enlightenment of a supreme, at the enlightenment of a Mahabodhisattva, Supreme Buddha is emanated, or that state is emanated, and through a Supreme Buddha, we understand this mechanism that this fire is actually a result of firewood, oxygen, and correct temperature. That is what was understood by the great Arihant Sariputta Thero, and when he was listening to a sermon by the Assaji Thero. Ye Dhamma hetu pabhava tesang hetung tathagato aha. So actually what is explained by this Assaji Thero is, so this world is actually created with causes, and that causes and effects are explained by Supreme Buddha. And that was enough for the great Sariputta Thero to understand the reality of the world. So this explanation about firewood itself is enough to understand that this world is actually a cause and is created and maintained because of causes and effects. So it is self-explanatory that if you remove one of these or several of these, it would eliminate or extinguish the fire that is eternal. So what avidya cycle does is, this avidya cycle itself is the firewood, oxygen, and correct temperature for the sansaric fire, or the 11 flames of sansara: raga, dvesha, moha, jati, jara, marana, soka, parideva, dukkha, domana, supayas. So those are the 11 fires, and this avidya cycle is the reason for this, or the basis for this eternal fire. And what does Kusala Mula cycle do? Sorry about that. So what does Kusala Mula cycle do? It removes the firewood. Firewood is removed. Instead of oxygen, we can use carbon dioxide, or a cover. We can cover up so that the oxygen supply is removed. We can get rid of oxygen, and we can use water or a agent that reduces the temperature. So if you do that, if you get rid of these, and if you reduce the supply of fuel, that helps the fire to go continue. So if you remove those firewood, if you remove the oxygen, if you remove the temperature, then that would extinguish the fire. And that is exactly what we should do. And that is what we do with Kusala Mula cycle. So Kusala Mula cycle here, Nitya Sukata Subha is fueling up this fire, and Anicca Dukkha Anatta Subha extinguishes this fire. So it actually, what Kusala Mula cycle does is, it creates causes, and that causes actually removes all the negative causes that are or the causes of avidya. Causes that remove the causes of avidya is Kusala Mula. So eventually this fire would be extinguished. So that's why in Kusala Mula cycle, So here's the Kusala Mula cycle, and this cycle, there's a power, and this power creates, as we discussed in the discussion that was happened in the last week, we know that this power is there's this karma power, and energy is created and deposited in this karma power, and it would create causes. And you know that eye, ears, nose, tongue, body and mind get inputs from images, sounds, smells, taste and touches. And thoughts. So this part is happening because of karmic energy. So karmic energy is the reason for, so the past energy that is created because of this Paticca Samuppadas, especially Avidya Paticca Samuppada. It has three parts, Sankara. So Sankara can be done, or the creation out of with Avidya can be done in three ways. That can be Punyabhi Sankara, Apunyabhi Sankara, and Anicca Sankara. So the creation can be a good, can be in a way that it gives good results, can be in a way that it gives bad results. So this has the both parts here. So based on those energy that has been created before, you would see images, you would hear sounds, you would feel smells, taste, touches, and you would feel thoughts based on that energy which has been created before. So since this new Kusala Mula Paccaya Sankara also has power, it also creates an energy. And in Dakkina Vibhanga Sutra, it says that the highest level of Kusala, or the positive energy, can be created with this Paticca Samuppada. And this energy would energy would help this. And you would see images that would eliminate your samsaric journey. That you would hear sounds, more and more sounds, and you would get more and more thoughts, especially mainly with eyes, ears, and mind, because taste, nose, tongue, and body is a bit. When it comes to Dhamma, the most important ones are eyes, ears, and mind. So you would get inputs, more and more inputs. So this is to understand that this is a very complex process that is happening, and you don't have any say or a control, because of according to your expectation. You expect one thing, and this is what is happening. So this energy would create causes so that you would get positive images, positive sounds, and positive thoughts that would strengthen this pathway, and this pathway would be strengthened and strengthened and strengthened, so that all the defilements would be eliminated eventually. So this would happen eventually. All the fire would be eliminated. So the result would be, so you know that this karmic energy would create causes, so that more and more kusala mula would be, so that the person, the kusala mula sankara paticcasamuppada would be created frequently in one's mind. So the result would be, the end result would be an extinguished fire. So what is the what explains that? So this is the normal Paticca Samuppada we initially discussed about. So we talked that that this fire was extinguished because of because of knowing the reality, because there's no place for avidya. So the Nibbana is actually, this is what we call Nibbana. So what is Nibbana? Nibbana is not the kusala mula pacchaya sankhara cycle. It is the pathway to Nibbana, or the Nibbana. So if you understand, so it is the Dukkha Nirodha Gamini Patipada, which is the eightfold pathway. When you are practicing the eightfold pathway, this is the mechanism under it, which happens in your mind. So kusala mula sankhara. So what is the result of kusala mula sankhara? So kusala mula sankhara is actually removal of these, and using an extinguisher is kusala mula sankhara, carbon dioxide, or putting water onto the fire is kusala mula sankhara. So the result is this, and what is that? That is avijja nirodho sankhara nirodha. That means elimination of the not emanation of avidya creates or results in the not emanation of. This is the better word that explains the real meaning of it. Otherwise, I would say elimination of avidya, but elimination is in a something that is already there. But since everything ends up in jara marana, it is not the elimination, because you cannot eliminate, because it was, as soon as it is created, it ends up in jara marana. It is not creating again. You are not starting the cycle again. So that's why we call not emanation of avidya results in the not emanation of sankhara. So the sankhara would not be created again. So vijnana, because of sankhara was not created again, vijnana would not be created again. Again, nama rupa salayatana passa vedana tanha upadana bhava jati jara marana, and as a result that jara marana is not created again, soka parideva dukkha domana supayasa nirujjanti, or it would not be created again. So the suffering would not be created again, and that itself is blissful, and that itself is called Nibbana. So this is what we should understand. This is the reality of the world, and this is how we understand the mechanism or the building blocks behind the theories, what we understand, what we try to comprehend. So now this is the when this happens fully. So when all the avidya is, I would use the word eliminated because it is easier, but you have to know that it is not creation, not creating it again, because there are no causes for it to be created again. If you know about the explanation we had, or Dhamma talk we had about the flame, or this oil lamp and the flame, you know that this flame is created in every moment because of the causes that are aligned together. So if you do not align the causes, then this flame would not be created again. Likewise, the same principle applies to everything, including the Paticca. So this blissfulness, actually, as I explained before, it increases day by day. So why? So let's say this person has very rough avidya, in the sense there's fine avidya and rough avidya, and because of this rough avidya, this person is, let's say, because before becoming a sotapanna, he engaged in various unwholesome deeds. Let's say he hurted people, he hurted animals, and he liked killing and hunting for fun and everything. So it was his hobby. And after understanding this Dhamma, so he made a Kalyanamita, and all the things we discussed before was happening in his mind. and he created Kusala Mula Sankara cycle in his mind. So it was not he created, but it was created because all the causes are aligning. So at the end, he came to the realization that this world is of Anicca, Dukkha, and Anatta nature, and there's no point in finding pleasure in hurting someone, because this life is has a bigger purpose than that, and I should understand, or I should get enlightened, and somehow eliminate the sansaric journey. And that was his understanding. And that what does that create? So he has this if we go into the avidya sankara cycle of his life, so he had this basic what do you call, basic shape of avidya initially, and because of external factors, and his avidya changed, and he saw value or nature sukata subha nature in hunting or killing animals or torturing animals. So it was his avidya anusaya, and as soon as he sees an animal, this avidya anusaya would be starting creating sankara and the hurting mindset, or hurting other animals, the mindset that says that you should hurt and you should find happiness in hurting someone would be created, and the nama rupa would create the salayatana, or the corresponding eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind that would support that feeling. And you would see a delusional passa or touch and a delusional vedana. Another person would find that very offensive, would find that very sad that this person is hurting another animal. But this person's salayatana, since it has been created in such a way to experience blissfulness through a torturing act, he would enjoy it actually. It was not his fault, because it's salayatana's fault, because it's Paticca Samuppada's fault, because it's avidya's fault. Because that's why we would not blame in an individual basis. We would not blame to the individual person. It's actually not that he is not that we can decide that this person is malicious, but the avidya is malicious. Avidya is the person is helpless. Avidya is always malicious, and avidya is always making the person very puppet of it. And avidya, because of avidya, animals or lively beings or living beings go to all the miserable places. Not that they like, not that they prefer going to those places, but it's the nature of avidya. So we would that's how the metta starts to flow in our minds. So I have seen avidya, and may all the living beings, sentient beings, see the reality of avidya and eliminate this sansaric suffering. And that would be the metta. And so, since even though that person does a bad thing towards you, you would not feel that angry, offensive towards the person. You would know that this is the helpless nature of the universe, of the world, of the sansara. And this is a helpless, poor being who are trapped in this sansaric journey. What else we can think? So, now the Vedana, the delusional Vedana would be created, and that would create the Tanha, and that would create the Upadana. You know those things. Now, I would not go into detail here. So, you would create the process of killing or hurting animals, and the process that kind of a jati or an item would be created. Item that likes killing, hurting animals. So as soon as this was the mindset which was before in this person, as soon as this person understands, as soon as this person understood this reality of the world. That means Kusala Mula, as soon as he meets this Kalyana Mitra and understands Dhamma from this Kalyana Mitra, this avidya, there's no reason for this avidya to occur again, because he has seen Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta and Asubha nature. So this avidya would be eliminated. Sankara, because of that, the Sankara would not be created again. Vijnana, Nama, Rupa, Salayatana, Passa, Vedana, Tanha, Upadana, Bhava, Jati and Jara, Marana would not be created again. Because of that, the Soka, Parideva and everything, the suffering part would not be created again. Because of that, the hellish, the bhava, the energy which was created before, the karmic energy that would take him to the hell, and he would be spending a lot of time there, paying what he did for the what he did in this world because of killing and hurting. So that would not be created again. So the life after this would be blissful, or at least from now onwards it would be blissful, and there are no reasons for him to go to the four hells, because he has seen the Dhamma, and because of that it is blissful. Because all this, because here we when we use the word blissful, we are talking that reduction of suffering. So since the hell is not an option for him, that is reduction of suffering, that is blissful. So as this suffering element, or the suffering that is created at the end of the Paticca is not created in his life, that is blissful, and he would not get that mindset, I should go, I could not go for hunting for several days now. I feel like it was this vexatious feeling that you get after when you do not get the inputs for a considerable amount of time. You feel that you want to do it. It's like when you have not taken alcohol. If you are an alcoholic, if you have not taken alcohol for several days, you feel I should somehow get a dose of alcohol. Likewise, this person, if he is addicted to hunting, this person feels that I should call my friends and we should have some fun. We should go for hunting. So this mindset, which is vexatious, would not be created again. And again, because of that, the amount of sankara, or the effort that needs to put, would not be created again. And that is reduction of suffering, and itself is blissful, and you have attained, or you are in the pathway to Nibbana, and this suffering would be eliminated and the blissfulness would increase throughout the pathway, and that is attaining Nibbana. So you are moving towards Nibbana. Actually, this is Nibbana, what you are experiencing, but it is not the full Nibbana, or it is not the completed thing. But if you isolate this part only, the person's life where he killed or hurted animals, then for that part he has attained Nibbana. But you have to eliminate all the sufferings, so that all the suffering that is created with avidya, so that you would attain the full Nibbana. So that is the Nibbana and the Kusala Mula Pachaya Sankara, or the Kusala Mula Paticca Samuppada. I hope you understand the theory or the basis behind it, because I explain this because most of the time this is not very necessary, which is not essential this is not essential for someone, for an individual to understand the supreme Dhamma, the Anicca, Dukkha and Anatta nature in a day-to-day basis, or a normal discussion of day-to-day things would be enough for someone to understand the reality of the world. But the thing is, our minds, since we are becoming more and more scientific, because we are we have our mindsets have the influence of science. We have this idea that we should understand the reasons behind it. Yeah, it is not about the experience anymore. We have to know for sure that how this works. If it has a real basis behind it, we would say that it's correct. Otherwise, we would not. We would have this this mindset where we are skeptical about things. So it is because of the avidya cycle which creates because of the exposure to science, we have created this vijnana which reasons out everything, the depth behind it. But you don't need this much of details to understand. You only need the wisdom. Through experience, through the inputs you get, you are able to create that ideas, create that mindset in yourself based on the Anicca, Dukkha, and Anatta nature. So when the Anicca, Dukkha, and Anatta nature was said to you, you tally it with the environment, you tally it with your life, you try to reason out, is it correct or is it not? As soon as you understand, that would be enough. Yes, this world is not worth continuing. This samsara is not worth continuing. You would understand that part. But since we have these mindsets we have created through the scientific influence, so we need the basis. We need how it actually happens. Why everybody says it's not according to expectations. You cannot control according to expectation. How? Why? What is the building blocks? What are the ground basis behind it? What are the underlying components that are behind it? So you need to understand those kinds of things, especially when it comes to modern world. So that's why we try to explain this. You don't need to remember this part. You can use this to understand the reality, but you don't need to remember that here the Salayatana is forming, here the Vedana is forming. What you need to understand, the summary or the important part that you should get from this discussion is this helps to emphasize the Anicca nature. And we discussed how this helps to emphasize the Dukkha nature, and we discussed how, and also the Anatta nature and Asubha nature. So those are the important things that you should highlight from this. Not that you are going to see, now I am creating Vedana, now I am creating Tanha, now we have gone to Upadana. You cannot go like that, because this is actually happening in a flick of a second. That is also not correct, even faster than that. So it is for understanding purposes and explanatory purposes that we are using this. But in reality, what you need to develop in your mind, cultivate in your mind, is the Anicca nature. It's a feeling that you get. And that feeling helps you to get rid of these attachments, get rid of this sansaric clinging onto the samsara. So that is the purpose of understanding this. So Anicca nature, Dukkha nature, and Anatta nature, and also the Asubha nature are the pillars of this discussion, and that is what you should focus on. And through these discussions, through this Paticca Samuppada, try to understand or enhance your understanding about Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta nature, and that would create this idea in yourself that then the elimination or the not emanation or not creating this Paticca Samuppada again would be the only solution for it. And then you would understand that it is the Nibbana or freedom. It is the peace. It is the non-attachment. It is the it is a salvation that creates the blissfulness, and that is not a blissfulness that you feel with your eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind, but it is felt with us wisdom, or you are understanding that blissfulness with wisdom, and that would be the end result that you are seeking for. So this explanation is actually to support that, not to make you understand or remember another mechanism that as you have remembered in your from your elementary school. So during these studies, during this lifetime, we have studied many things, many mechanisms, many things with regard to science and other subjects. So this is not one of them where you are going to remember everything, their words and everything. No, it says in a discussion that was done with a son of Anepindu Situ. So his son does not like listening to Dhamma. He's not fond of Dhamma. But since the Anathapindika Situ is a very devotee, is a devotee of Dhamma and a very good disciple of Supreme Buddha, he wanted his son to listen to Dhamma. But he does not listen, and he does not go to even to the vihara or the temple. So he asked this son of his to go to the vihara or Jetavanarama, and he said that he would give 1,000 gold coins. He accepted because of the gold coins, but he did not go and listen to Dhamma. He went to the premises of the vihara or the Jetavanarama and then came back. And the Anathapindika Situ understood that this is not going to work, and he asked again. He asked his son to go to this vihara again and listen to Dhamma. Even remember, his exact words was, try to remember and tell me even at least one word of Dhamma that has been uttered by Supreme Buddha. So he said yes, and he went to the listen to Dhamma, and as Supreme Buddha can read the mind of people, he understood that this is why the son of Anathapindika Situ has come today, and he said he thought that only he would be able to understand Dhamma, he would not be able to remember any word of it. So he was trying to remember at least one word, but nothing stays in his mind, the words, but the understanding is coming. So at the end, he had to listen to the whole discussion, whole discourse, because his aim was to remember at least one word, but he could not remember at least one word, but he came to the understanding. So it's not about the words or the memory that is needed to fulfill the understanding. It is the understanding itself. It is the depth of the understanding that you need to focus on. So the Anicca Dukkha Anatta nature and the elimination of suffering is the only solution that you have in this suffering samsaric journey. So that would be the end of this discussion about the Arya Paticca Samuppada and Nibbana. If you have any questions about this discussion, the previous discussion as well as today's discussion, you can speak up, or you can put it into the chat.
Yes, please unmute yourselves and forward your questions if you have any. Please. Thero Sarnai Swamin Wahanse, Is it possible to stop sharing the screen?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, do you have any questions? Oh, since there are no questions from the audience, and I might ask one. So, in you were describing the Kusalamula Paticca Samuppada, and so I understand that it is a very complex subject, and even Buddha has said, it's very difficult to understand for a other than a Buddha, you will not completely understand the Paticca Samuppada. But we don't need all that to reach the enlightenment. So we have the idea that if we are doing meritorious deeds, which is kusala or punya kriya, that also falls into a certain kusalamula Paticca Samuppada, but that ends in dukkha because it is punya abhisankara, or the meritorious deeds still leads to continuation of this bhava or jati. So could you please contrast the difference between that Kusalamula Paticca Samuppada and what ends up in Dhamma, which is originated when you have Lokottara Dhyana?
Yeah. So now for Dhyana, so it is also Arya Dhyana. If it is Arya Dhyana, it is Kusalamula Paticca Samuppada. But if it is Laukika Dhyana or mundane Dhyana or the Dhyana of lay people, then that is coming with either Kusalam Avidya Pachya Punya Sankara or Avidya Pachya Aninja Sankara. So that is how the lay people's dhyana falls. That is the category that lay people's dhyana fall into. But when it comes to Arya dhyana, so when it comes to the dhyana practiced by the understanding of the reality of the world, that also falls into Kusalamula Pachya Sankara Paticca Samuppada cycle. So even a bit of understanding about Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta also falls into the Kusalamula Pachya Sankara Paticca Samuppada cycle, which we discussed. But this is not just on and off thing. So it goes through it's like a spectrum. So you start with avidya, then you just don't get realized. Some would attain this even the Arihat Pala in few seconds, but in reality and in practical aspect, when it comes to people who has a low level of wisdom, it goes through a certain period of time and a certain period of stages, a certain amount of stages that one has to complete until he attains the Sotapanna Pala. So initially it was starting with avidya, then he becomes a Kalyana Putakjana. So after someone becomes a Kalyana Putakjana, he gets the understanding or a very, very low level of understanding that this might be correct, but he does not understand that it is fully correct. So he does not see it with wisdom, but he understands that there can be something good or real in it. So that would be the initial. So that means he get the idea that he gives value to this Dhamma. So that's what initially happens. So after that, he would become Chulla Sotapanna or a Sotapanna path follower. So at that point, he would know the Anicca, Dukkha and Anatta nature, but he would not realize yet. He does not understand the Nibbana part, or the how elimination of, or the how getting rid of these attachments and the clinging on to the samsaric journey is the only solution and is the blissfulness. He has no clue about that. He does not have any data on that. So when the person becomes Sotapanna, he understands the full pathway, that this is Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta, this world and the samsaric journey, and the only solution is Nibbana, and or the elimination of Raga, Dvesha, Moha. And that would be the this what you call Sotapanna Phala. So it is like climbing. It is like climbing stairs. So you are, if you are in the ground floor, it's like the Putakjana Bhumi, or the lay people's realm. So let's say there are 100 steps for Sotapanna Phala. So if someone is able to run faster or climb faster, he would just climb the staircase in few seconds. But another one would take several years, even several hours, if we get the analogy correct. So if it would take several hours or several minutes for someone to climb the stairs, likewise, the person would take several days, several years to understand the full capacity, or the full thing. So since it takes more time for that person, he would not even know that he has attained the understanding. But when he compared the two, he would understand that yes, I have this. Yes, there's a lot of difference, or difference. There's been a significant difference in my life after I started practicing Dhamma, and got a lot of defilements in my life has got eliminated, and my life has become better, and the amount of suffering has reduced, and I am doing pretty good and pretty well in with regard to the Arya pathway. So that person would understand that after some time. So so what I wanted to highlight here is, it's like climbing a staircase. It's not that there are only 3 pillars. One is Kalyana Puttagjana, the second one is Sotapanna stream entry, and third one is Sotapanna Phala. Not like that. It is a very what do you call, a gradual pathway that you have to follow day by day. You develop your wisdom, and up until you come to the place where you don't have any doubts about the pathway, and it becomes crystal clear that this is the end that you should seek. So so corresponding to that external story, the mind also acts in a similar way. So in that's why, as Mr. Obi Pereira said very correctly, that this Paticca is very, very complex and very hard to understand for a normal person, or even an Arihat with all the high wisdoms. It is very hard to understand, because it is a subject of Supreme Buddha, not a subject of us. So when it comes to this Paticca Samuppada cycles, so we have we can broadly divide it into the 2 parts, the Arya Paticca and the world, or the Avidya Paticca. But in reality, if you refer the Paticca Vibhanga, there are about hundreds of Paticca explained, and as we don't need all of those, we did not discuss, and this is not the only way that you can explain this Paticca as well. There are various different ways of explaining it as well. So for example, for Nama Rupa, there's a different explanation where the Nama Rupa are taken as objects. Let's say a person with the person who wants to person who has become an alcoholic, for Nama Rupa. So this is a different way of seeing it. So for Nama Rupa, he can say Nama is let's say a bottle of alcohol. So the bottle of alcohol is Nama, and the object itself is Rupa. So the pattern or the image. So it is what gets into the mind of that person. So Vijnana is fed by Nama Rupa, and Nama Rupa is Vijnana is fed by Nama Rupa, and Nama Rupa is fed by Vijnana. There's something like that. So it is a different way of seeing it. So that's why there are no barriers, there are no limitations when it comes to Paticca. The only requirement is it should align with Dhamma. It should align with the equation, or the we call it the Chaturari Sata Chattari Arya Satchani, or the Four Noble Truths. It should align with Four Noble Truths. It should align with Dhamma, which is the Paticca Samuppada, and it should align with Vinaya, or the Raga Vinaya, Desha Vinaya, Moha Vinaya. Or if I elaborate on that, it should reduce Raga Desha Moha, and it should not increase, or it should not do anything, or it should not increase or do nothing about Raga Dvesha Moha. It should reduce Raga Dvesha Moha. This explanation, the understanding that it gets you should reduce it. So that's the main three things that you should have when someone is explaining Paticca or any Dhamma. So that's why it says that there are no limitations. The level of wisdom is the one that, or the level of wisdom is what limits one's explaining ability about Paticca, not anything else. So now when it comes to Paticca, there are these Kusala Mula Paticca which are not totally knowing about Arya, Anicca, Dukkha and Anatta, but in between. You might understand it with the analogy of what do you call this staircase. So there are steps in between. So there should be Paticca for the steps in between. So they do not have the full understanding about Arya Dhamma, but it should, they do not fall into avidya as well. So they are in between. So if you do, you can do an offering or a alms giving or anything in that sort of any meritorious deed with the full understanding about Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta, and as well as even though you have attained Sotapanno pala beyond, not the Arihat pala, but something below that, someone could have a Paticca, not Kusala Mula, but not Avidya, but in between, where someone gets the idea of Alobha Dvesha Moha, which is Kusala Mula, and with this Alobha Dvesha Moha, he or she is performing this act, and it would create again bhava. That the main importance of that is it is based on Karuna Sasana. So Karuna Sasana and Prajna Sasana are two different entities of this main Dhamma. Prajna Sasana is about wisdom, Karuna Sasana is about kindness and metta. So when you are creating that, these offerings, these punyanumodanas and everything, what you are doing is you are practicing the Karuna Sasana, and you can practice Karuna Sasana with full wisdom, but sometimes the sati or the mindfulness does not happen in that level. The amount of mindfulness that is needed for someone to become an Arya person, or the Arya mindset to occur, does not happen at some point. So at those points, the Paticca which would be occurring would be the Kusala Mula Pacchaya Sankara Paticca cycle, but it's not the full Arya Paticca cycle, but something in between. So here the amount of meritorious power that is created at bhava before jati would be creating causes for that person to create the environment for him to understand Dhamma. So it is very important and it is very needed, because without life, without the refreshing nature, without the power in our body and mind, without the wisdom that came with our life, without those things, and without the peaceful and calm environment to listen to Dhamma, without the comfort we are having right now, we are not, the environment is not too hot or too cold or too noisy or too disturbing or nothing like that, because that was actually created with the meritorious power which has been created before. So it would help this Paticca or the pathway, this staircase, the steps of this staircase would help you to develop that aspect as well. So it is very important to focus on that as well. But even if you have the correct understanding, correct wisdom, you can do that offerings, those offerings and those alms givings with the full understanding as well. That would create a Somanasa Sahagata Jnana Samprayukta mind. So Somanasa Sahagata means a blissful mind, and a Jnana Samprayukta means a mind that is with full wisdom. So there are 8 types of minds, and this is the highest you can get. But if somebody gets attached to something, so this Patisampada or the Kusalamula Patisampada is based on the Kusalamula Patisampada that is in between is based on actually what do you call this Nibbana. So his main priority is Nibbana, but he does not have the fully he's not thinking about the full Anicca, Dukkha and Anatta nature of it. Without having that, he's not very mindful about it, but he's doing the act of what do you call act of offering with the intention of attaining Nibbana. So that would create this meritorious power that would eventually get him into the Nibbana, get him into Nibbana. So that's that, and that explains how these Paticca cycles are very complex, and even we do not understand. Even Sariputta Thero could not understand it fully. Even only a Supreme Buddha can explain it 100%. And even if we explained it, we would not be able to understand, and we would. So that's why he did not try to explain all the parts of this Paticca, only the important ones that should be used to eliminate suffering. As I explained before, the main aim or the main importance of understanding this is not to think now what is the Paticca which is going, and later what is the Paticca which would be occurring. No, that is not the purpose, but you have to develop the characteristics of Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta nature, or the feelings of it. So Anicca has a feeling of there's no value, there's no point kind of a feeling. Dukkha, Anatta also has that kind of feeling. So that should develop in your mind, because that is called the prajna or the prakrti jnana or the reality. So you have to understand the reality. You might have all the things in your mind, all the data in your mind, but it's like having all the data or all the information that is needed for someone to pass the exam, let's say medical exam. But when it comes to the practical aspect, he doesn't know how to do the surgery. He doesn't know how to treat patients, but he has all the knowledge when it comes to writing exams. So that is 2 different things. So this is not about understanding, or this is not about remembering and trying to apply it to whatever the occasion, the words, not applying the words and not applying the theory on the occasion. So it is about understanding about the reality of the world. So use this as a tool to understand it and understand the reality of the world. You would understand that this is because of Salayatana only I am feeling this. That's okay, because that explains the Anicca, Dukkha and Anatta nature. then only Salayatan nature of me is what creates this delusional blissful sensation would be a thought that is occurring in your mind after this explanation. So that would be okay. But do not try to just stick onto the words and try to apply it to your life and just see the mechanism. It's just like somebody trying to learn the anatomy of human body and physiology of human body, and if someone has learned it up to this level, he would know that the you would not be able to hear from your ear, but it is the mind that can do that act, or it's a function of the mind to hear. But you don't know, you did not, even though you understand it, you have never understood the Anicca nature, Dukkha nature, and Anatta nature, because you know that the eardrum would get vibrated, and then the inner ear, it would go to the inner ear, and it would go to that part of the brain which processes it, and then eventually would hear. But you do not know that you are not able to understand, even though you know all these facts, you are not able to understand that there's no blissfulness in the external item. It is the mind that created this delusional feeling of hearing, not the external item. But with this information, with this understanding about the function of the ear, you still go after external sounds, because that does not cure, that does not treat the problem of avidya. So I think does that explain the answer to the question you asked?
So what you're basically saying is that you don't need to know about the intricate details of how an engine of a car works, as long as you know how to drive safely. And
Exactly.
okay, that is very good, and thank you very much. And are there any questions from the audience? And if you have, you can please unmute yourself and ask questions. So we have been here for about 2 hours now. Maybe this is the time to conclude this discussion, since there are no questions. I would respectfully invite our Swami Wahanse to pass the merit, transfer the merits.
So today we discussed about Arya, Paticca Samuppada, and Nibbana. So these are the core concepts of Dhamma, and this is what Supreme Buddha understood at the sacred poetry, and this is what led him to the enlightenment. And through understanding this deep and sacred Dhamma, we are also trying to comprehend the reality of the world, which was understood by Supreme Buddha, and we are also trying to attain Nibbana, so that all the suffering would be eliminated from our samsaric, from our life, ending the sansaric journey. So as we have discussed, the meritorious deeds that are created through these actions of listening to Dhamma and preaching Dhamma are immeasurable. So with that immeasurable power of the merits, we would get the perfect opportunity or the perfect environment for us to practice Dhamma more and more. So all the hindrances, barriers, and obstacles that cover up our Nibbana pathway or the Eightfold Pathway may get eliminated, may get diminished, and all the causes that are needed for it to go smoothly, for the understanding to occur, may agglomerate together, and may everyone get the background to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana after listening to Dhamma from a Kalyana Mitta, getting the opening the eyes of wisdom. Accept this blessing with the sadhukara.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
And also, let us remind all the beings, sentient beings in this universe, especially the deceased relations of us who helped us throughout this sansaric journey, and also especially our parents throughout this sansaric journey, and also our teachers and people who helped us along the way, people who are with us along the way, especially spouses, children, neighbors, relations, and all the people who helped us create our houses, workplaces, and also these temples and these Zoom platforms, because of them only we are able to have these discussions in peace and in a very favorable, secure environment with our calm and quiet mindsets. So let us remind all of them, and let us also remind the people who showed us what is right and what is wrong in life in general. Because of them only we were able to lead respectable lives, and we were able to have a virtuous life, so that we were able to understand we got the background to understand the supreme Dhamma. And also let us remind the sentient beings that were hurted and harmed by us. 10 unwholesome acts were our basic tools of survival back in the day, when we did not have any understanding about Dhamma. We hurted, killed, and also robbed, had unethical relationships, and we lied, slandered, and used harsh words, used meaningless words, and we were malicious, we were greedy and mischievous, we were having wrong and distorted views towards the world, and we were harming the world and harming all the sentient beings, because we had no understanding about the reality of the world. So there were many sentient beings that were hurted by us, that were harmed by us. Let us remind all of them as well at this special occasion where we have gathered a lot of merits. And also let us remind all the people, all the sentient beings, or the unseen spirits, especially the deities who are in the 6 realms of gods, and also the Brahmas in all the 20 planes of gods. And let us remind all the sentient beings in this universe as well, and let us spread this meritorious power to them as well. May they appreciate these discussions of Dhamma with a delighted mindset, becoming sharers of this meritorious deed. If they are in miserable places, may they refrain from doing sins. May they replace those sins with meritorious deeds, and may they lead happy lives, ultimately understanding the reality of the world, attaining the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Accept this with a sadhukara, transferring all the merits to them with metta and kindness.
Sadhu, sadhu,
sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
I wind up the session with a blessing which was recited by Supreme Buddha itself. So, Abhaya silisa nichang vadhabachayino chattaro dhamma vaddanti ayuvanno sukambalang ayurarogya sampatti sagga sampatti mevachato nibbana sampatti minathe samicchatu. May you attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana.
sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Silavantang gunavantang punyaketang anuttarang dullabena maya laddhang pasitung vanditung varang Sariputtadi teranang agatang patipatiya Saddhasilang dayavasang buddhaputtang namamahang. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thiruvun Saranai Hamdurane. Thiruvun Saranai everybody.
Thiruvun Saranai everyone.
We will notify the next discussion